Hey guys. Hi, sorry I'm late. I gotta change the time to maybe like 5 minutes later. I don't know if you can hear the buses, but the pickup is supposed to be at like 3:45, but my youngest like just like hides from me and goes and plays with his friends, and I'm like standing there like, come on. So I'm here though. Happy Monday. Happy Monday beading party. How you guys doing? Hey, I see Sandy and Carol is here. Dana, Tana, Bess, Leslie. Hi guys. Well, welcome. I have something really cool to show you today that I've actually been kind of playing with for a while, just trying to perfect the process and figure out like how to share it best and how the size of the loom pattern that works best with it and things like that. So I'm going to show you today an idea that I had. I have a finished sample too that I can hold up. That patterns are kind of like whatever you want to do for pattern. It could be anything. But roughly 18 beads seem to be the perfect width for this finding that I found on Allegory Gallery's website. It's a little stitch end finding. And you can stitch it onto it, of course, like picture things like herringbone and all of that. I think, peyote would go right up next to it. But where it really shines, in my opinion, is for looming. Because looming, now there's my method for pulling in the warps, where you can kind of pull them through. And that works great. But not everybody likes to do that. So, oh, hey, Stacy. Stacy's here. Thank you for a great live on Saturday, Stacy. I had a really fun time with that. And your great project with the pumpkins was so cute. But yeah, so the cool thing about this finding is that you can do a knot. You can knot all those warps into it. And I don't know how well you can see it. It's quite hidden, actually. But let me hold it up and see if I can get a good view in there. You see how it's basically hollow, right? And so what I do is I take a design like this off of the loom and I'll bring the warps through it and just tie knots. So think about things like hemp and other types of cords where weaving them into the beads isn't really even an option. That's where this is really going to be cool. So I, of course, was just kind of playing with beading thread because I was just getting the counts right. I was playing with that. But I think you guys can take it from there and turn it into more things. So I'll show you how I did this and kind of share some more ideas and thoughts on it. I also was going to share a few other versions that they have. But what I just grabbed a few because I had to choose just a few things to add. And so I added the golden finding edge, and I'll get you the dimensions on this, but it's basically like I think it's like 21. Let me show you. It's an 1.5 inches. And so I found that this was a really good size for 18 beads, 8/0, working with like a size 8/0. And so that's what I've been doing. Oh, hey, Lynn. Oh, thank you so much. She said she found the kits. Yeah, I did put some kits on my website. I didn't have as many as I'd hoped to make because what I discovered when I was making these is that it actually uses a lot of beads, like way more beads than I was expecting. What you see right here is 6 inches and it's exactly 22 grams. Like I had a 22-gram tube and I used almost every single bead in the tube. And I only got 6 inches out of that. So you're going to need more. Most people are going to want a little extra. And so I did the 32-gram jars for this one. So I will restock this if you guys love it. It was a random musing from little 50-gram bags that I had laying around. And I mixed up a bunch of different colors, which I have shared on my website. And in the description for this video is a link to my website that shows all of the findings and all of the colors. So you can see all that. But yeah, it was just amusing. I was just playing, and I can show you how to do it with other colors that you might just have in your stash that you can make. So yeah, that is the journey for today. I also added these cute little owls. I'm going to open this one up. I've been including a little head pin that you can put a little seed bead on there and use it as a charm. But it could also just be like a mala bead, or it could even just go on like a as a charm for a bracelet or a necklace pendant. I would say it could even be an earring, but it's on the heavy side. It's solid. Like it's a really solid piece. So that's in my website too. And I'll throw a little head pin in with all of them when you order them. But so I was going to take a minute to show you more stuff really quick before I show you the technique there, because it's a pretty easy technique. It's mostly just time consuming. Oh, thanks, Valerie. Yeah, it's super cute. So I discovered, because I've been looking for companies that make findings, and I've just been doing a lot of research, and like, who are those metalsmiths out there that are making things for jewelry designers? And so this is one of my discoveries, and they make really cool stuff. They do. And so their website, super easy, allegorygallery.com. And the one that I'm showing you comes in other colors. So it comes in this like copper, there's a silver. It's a really cool little finding, but it is quite wide. So you're looking at making a very statement cuff if you're working with, it's all hand cast pewter. So it's very organic and very beautiful. And then you're looking at like smaller ones in other kind of styles, but the same idea. And I don't have these in my shop, but you can find them on their website. And so this is the same idea where it's got the holes on one side. This will give you a little less wide of a cuff, like to show you on this one. It would probably be best with, let's see how many that is. 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 11 or 12 would work with that size. So a little step down. Same thing where you can just bring those warps through the holes on this side and then tie knots that will be hidden. And what I do after I tie those knots is, if it's the type of thread where this is good, I'll take the thread burner and just gently go along just the top of it. And let me show you on my finished one what that looks like. It's so hidden you can't even really see it. I want to show it to you, but let's get this light going over here. There's a bunch of like really, really tight double, triple knots going here with all of my warp threads. And then I just took the little thread burner and just went along the top just to singe everything. And I used a pretty strong beading thread. I think I used 8 pound for this. So you can kind of see in there. So yeah, different versions. And then if you just wanted to check out, they make buttons. It's really cool octo. And so I was eyeing this dragon as something maybe for the upcoming, oh, and there's an elephant, but I was thinking for the upcoming like spring and summer ideas I have, I might bring the octos in. This cool lazy frog. So if you love the artisanal pewter, this is just another thing, if you haven't heard of, to check out, that you can see where there's lots of beautiful, beautiful things to discover. And I've yet to actually play with a lot of it. Like there's cool clasps. We're all in a clasp shortage. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I'm just dying right now because I need more clasp. I just saw Jill Wiseman just brought in some of the Tierra Cast toggles, but they're the made in Greece ones. So the first batch like that I've seen, at least. I know Kelly has some too, Kelly's Bead Boutique, but I've yet to get any of my own in. And so I've been looking more like, because I think the minimums there are going to be a bit steep for me. I'm looking for more local options, you know? And so there's some findings here that I'm interested in trying out, some stitching. These are super interesting because you can see there's holes on the side. My mind is going like, whoo, what can be done with that? A lot, right? I can see stitching seed beads all around that. So you might be seeing this pop up in a project in the future. So if you find yourself on their website and you want to check those out, I'll probably go and use the ovals, I think. There's teardrops and squares, but the ovals, I have an idea. So it's kind of where my brain is headed. But yeah, so today's feature, I'm just going to show how to use these little fun ones. Well, they're not little, they're big, but they're very cool. All right, so let me just get these out of the way. I'll put those here. And I just want to take a quick measure from the crowd here. Are you guys, how is your comfort level with warping a loom? How are you feeling about loom warping? Because I could just dive right into taking it off the loom if this is something you've seen before and you're comfortable with doing. If I get at least a couple people that want to see it, I can try to work it in. We could always do it at the end too if you want me to. So we're at like 4:10 after right now. So I think we'll have time for both, but yeah. Oh, and hey, I just saw a cool comment from Diane. She's saying it's exciting that you're working with. Yeah, I love these. These are so cool. And she's friends with William and Andrew. Yeah, they're pretty cool. And this really amazing artists. Super, super cool. Yeah, and Stacy's saying you can also find really cool Green Girl studios on his website too. He has a whole section of Green Girl. So they're brother and sister, I think. And so they have like their styles seem different to me, like super different, but they both have that metalsmithing just like skill, right? It's a very cool skill and I admire it. And so I always you'll find me checking stuff like that out a lot because I admire it so much. So let's see. Okay, so Lynn saying I'd love to see how to attach the clasp. I haven't seen anybody say they need to see how to do the start of looming, but if I get requests, why don't I just do that at the end? Let me bring this up. So let's see how many folks are saying. Valerie says comfortable. See how to loom. Well, let's see. I've got at least 2, I think, that have saying they would like to see it. I'll do a quick abbreviated version. So let me grab a loom. So lots of looms out there. This is the one I like to use. It is the Jewel Loom. You can get it at jewelloom.com. And it comes with this little bar that you pop in there that is used to make it sit in like this U shape. And oh, I'm going to switch my background really quick. Sorry, it's really hard to see against that background. And that was my pretty display background. Okay. Actually, this seems good right here. Let's stick with that. And I will grab some wildfire. What colors do I have? Black, so let's use that. So depending on the number of beads in your design, you'll need to assess that first. And the design that I am showing you here, it's really wide. It has 18 beads. And so 18 beads. Oh, hey, check this out, guys. Hi. Awesome. So this is your finding. Check it out. It looks very cool. It's perfect for 18 8-0 seed beads. And so these are some Miyuki seed beads that are available as like a little mix, or you can make your own design, like just with your own 8-0 seed beads and come up with that. So if you have a design that has 18 beads per row, you're going to want to put 19 warps on your loom. And that's a lot of warps. It takes a minute, but it's the same process. You just repeat it. So you just tie that edge. I work from the spool, so I will tie to the end bar. This little button here on the side of my jewel loom. So you want to get a pretty good double knot tied onto there. I actually might even do a triple knot. So right there. And then there's a little button on the back. So for this little button, you just want to go around it and come up through one of the grooves. And actually, I'm pretty glad to be demoing this because there's a little trick I want to share that I realize might become important as you get started. When you're working with the jewel loom and you're working with 8-0 seed beads, I discovered that it's really, really handy if you space them every other. Let me show you what I mean. So there's these little grooves on there. And if you do every single groove, it's a perfect size for 11-0 Miyuki and 11-0 check. But if you're working with 8-0 or some of the larger beads like Toho or 11-0s or like 10-0 seed beads, sometimes it can help to skip one every so often. Like if you skip every single one, it'll be too wide even for 8-0. But if you skip one and then skip like, do the very next one and then skip one, let me show you. So in the case of this one, I'm going to go ahead and go through. We'll go through skip one. So just find, there we go. I'm trying to get through the right one here on the back. There we go. So you see how I skipped one of the grooves there? I'm going to do that every other. So there's a skipped one. And every time you go through one of the grooves, you want to come and go through this like knob at the back just to secure your thread. And then go around the front. And there I didn't skip one, see? So let me just go pretty quick so I can get through showing you all of that. And there, I'm going to skip one. So you see I'm doing like kind of an every other. You can kind of feel it out too, just based on the size of your beads if you're using a different kind of seed bead. So this one, I'm going to go through the next one. And we'll go through just like that. See? And here's another skipped one. And go to the next one here. So how many do I have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's number 8. That's one too many skipped there. Yeah, and I see a question here, skip every other. That's what I've been doing for my 8-0. And it works out pretty well. This is a really wide piece. And so what I figured out when I was working on this other one was that you can even get away with maybe doing 2 right next to each other and then skipping every so often. It just, the variation tends to carry itself forward. Does that make sense? So for example, on a shorter piece, you may not experience as much variation, but when you have a piece with 18 beads, it propagates out. So those little few point something millimeters, they really add up in a design this wide. If that makes any sense. But you'll see it when you get started. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I'll show you on my other one. The very first one I did, I still have it on the loom. And I'll show you what I mean when we put them side by side. And I'm always kind of like gauging this. I know a lot of folks have seen me do this a lot of times, so apologies if you're one of those folks, but just in case you know there's anyone new out there hasn't seen this yet. Okay. I'm going to do another little count here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, I lost count. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Almost there. Okay, here's my 15. I didn't skip one there. I can tell it's getting pretty wide. 15. And now I'll skip one. Here's 16. There's, oops, that's a little mistake on there. Okay, there's 16. Okay. Got a little bit of a loose spot there. Apologies. It's really, really challenging to warp this many, but almost got it. There we go. There's a skipped one. All right, I'm going to get my count going again here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Almost there. One more. Okay. All right, so here's my 19th one. So I'm going to go around the button again. And this time just go around the side a bunch of times just to secure it for you while you do this next step. And then I'm going to need to get my cutters. Some cutters here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go around and through. Actually, sometimes it's easier to go from this direction. So let me just hold it like that. So it stays on the button there. Tighten that one time. It will really try to come off the button. So just got to kind of force it. Okay. And then let's go and make another knot. Sorry about that. It's really hard to stay on camera, even with the camera up this high. There we go. I did kind of a double, like almost like a little surgeon's knot for that one. And once you feel like it's nice and tight, you can even go around an extra time. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to try to take out the bar. So all of the jewel looms have this little bar in it that you see how these are kind of, they're good, but they're pretty loose. And yeah, and so I'm seeing questions, and I'm sorry if I missed those, because this is one of those things where you're like, you got to focus on them. Question, what happens if you never take the bar? Okay, so this metal bar is what gives you the tension. Let me show you one that's ready. So see how much tighter it is for this? So much better. Oh, hey, Cecilia. If you use this with the bar in it, you just have some kind of loose warps. And the whole thing about like the patentable thing about this that makes it so incredibly cool is that the bar, when it comes out, tightens up all of this. So that's why I like it. It's really nice. And on like other looms, you would have to loom it super tight, or you have to have one that you can expand afterward, and it's just kind of hard to do. So I've always liked that. Now this part is the only part that's even remotely tricky, but if you kind of press this end of it just against you a little tiny bit, it'll help you get the bar out. And I actually push the bar from the back while picking it up from the front. And so for me, it usually pops open pretty good. And I get a nice tight tension, and it fixes all of my tension mistakes from warping. Especially handy, guys, for these really wide cuffs. Because, you know, when you're doing the thinner ones, you can kind of wing it, right? You can get it to work. When you're working with 18 beads, 19 warps, it's crazy to get it tight. Like, because every time you go around, you saw how I was kind of fumbling, and I was struggling to get it to stay on the little button there. It's just, when you've got that much thread going, it's just so nice to have that happen, right? Just so cool. So anyway, that's how I do the looming, warping part of looming. All right, let's do some looming. Let me show you how to do that. So you want to get more thread. And I always end up having to add thread. And on this one, I guarantee you will. On this one, I added thread. I'll tell you how many times. Here's a thread add. Here's another thread add. So I added thread twice on a 6-inch piece of loom. So this one is going to be a definite thread adder. So just go with a comfortable length for you. Wingspan is usually what I do. Wingspan is great for me. Bring that on. And I'm going to go ahead and do a flattening with this edge here. Just grab some pliers. Oh, and you guys, I almost forgot. I'm so sorry. It reminded me, because I just looked over here to the side, that I do have a giveaway today. Sorry about not remembering that at the beginning. I can't wait till Colleen's back. Colleen's been on vacation, and so she's usually keeps me on top of stuff. But let me share that really quick. So let's go ahead and do I want to share that. So if you just type in #beadmix, I'm giving away one of the bead mixes from today's project. And it's my last one. So there's today's giveaway. And now let me just get back to my screen. And sorry for the not announcing that at the beginning. I think I was getting so excited about showing you this that I just forgot. I'm going to grab a needle. I'm going to use actually, great time to talk about needles. This is a very wide project. I'm going to actually use my jewel loom needles, but I wanted to say you could use these as well. They're just long enough. Take a look at how long they are. Consider that you'll be holding the thread and the ends. They're just going to make it, see? But it's even better if you can work with one of the jewel loom needles. So these are pretty cool. And you can get these from jewelloom.com. If you don't already have them in your stash, they're available. I think they're even like, there's a kit where you can get them with the loom, which is pretty cool. If you haven't already got a loom, you go grab one of those. All right, so I need some beads. And I'm just going to do all one color if that's okay, just to keep it super simple. And that thread that I just had. Hmm. Well, in the effort to show you that, I managed to lose the thread that I had. Let's cut another one really quick. Don't worry, I'll need it. I will find it probably on the ground and use it when I run out of thread on this one. I think this one I'm going to do like a pretty color block or something. And super easy to thread this one, so it's really nice. What else can I show you about looming? Okay, so comfortable working length. Got that part explained. So I'm going to trim that. So, oh yes. So, looming direction patterns. This doesn't have a pattern. I didn't do, and I see a quick question here. Let's see, difference between, so there is a really big difference between Miyuki thread and wildfire and or fireline. Wildfire and fireline are thicker and they're stronger, but they would be really bad for something like fringe because fringe needs to be flowy, and things like peyote stitch. Even I find I prefer to use like a thinner, like a size B Miyuki thread. Um, these other threads here, these guys are really thick, but they're nice for structural things. I do like them for looming if I'm not working with small beads. Working with small beads, I'd rather be working with a 1G or a Miyuki thread. But these are 8 seed beads on a large design. And so I just went ahead and sized up my thread to be proportionate to that. And so speaking back to pattern, this design doesn't have a pattern. It's just super random. If you're doing my kit, I just went with picking up whatever color I had. And the needle, can I show the needles again? It's these ones right here. And these are best with an 8 bead. You can get them to work with a Toho 11 though. They're not going to be what I would choose with a check bead, just because they're a little bit larger needle. But that said, you might be able to get it to work. The real thing that they shine for is wide designs. Oh, and fringe. If you're doing fringe, it's also really good. But see how you can really get your design to work out. Let me string the first row of this one. Lots of beads. And 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So I've got 18 beads here. And the way I like to do a loom design, it's really makes a difference if you're right-handed or left-handed. If you're left-handed, you may feel better having your beads on the other side of the loom. I think for me, this is definitely the only way I know how to do it, is to be working from left to right. So this is my left over here. And I bring the beads underneath. And there's a little trick I'm going to show you really quick for how to get started. You only need to do this on the first row. But go ahead and bring the thread through and leave a tail that's about 10 inches. And that will weave in later. So you'll have your beads here. Let me bring down just a little bit. Let's see if that's helpful to you guys. Okay. And so you want to bring your needle back through it. And this is just a stabilizing. You could even use a second needle if you wanted to. I've seen people use a pin. You can get a pin through your beads. But this is just a stabilizing, just to get it to stay all in one place. And then bring it underneath and go ahead and space out your beads underneath your warps. And feel free to go slow with it. Take your time. And you can adjust manually some of the threads if you need to. I almost always need to. And I'm using my finger to keep everything in place here. You can use your thumb to kind of press those beads, press the threads in between your beads. And once you've got everything in place, just hold it stable and you take that needle out And then what you want to do is go back through the beads. And this time I'm being very, very, very careful to stay above my warp threads. As I made this pass back through it, see I missed one right there? I don't know if you guys can see that. I've got one thread that I didn't go above, so it's loose. If I bring that needle through, the beads that I skipped won't be supported. So now I just need to go ahead and get all those threads pressed nice and close. I'm going to pull the needle back out. And the tighter your warps, the easier this is. If your warps are really loose, it's harder. So that's another great reason to have the little bar. It really helps with that. And that first row is always the most challenging. But once you've gotten to the spot, you're good. You got it. I like to use my bead scooper. I don't know if you guys have a bead scooper, but I love using this to make my, I'm just making sure that I can move everything. This matters a lot more if you're going to do that method that I show sometimes on other projects where you pull it through. But today it won't matter as much because we're just going to tie knots. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Lorena says, these are the kind of projects I call that. Yeah, I agree. I'm always hunched over something usually, so I know exactly what you mean. If I got one of those little things that you put on your back that like sets off an alarm when you hunch forward or you have bad posture, mine will be going off constantly. Oh, and then Ruth has another question. Actually, this is not where I'm going to leave it. You can move it around. And I was going to talk a little bit about that too. Let's head back up a little bit. Let me bring this up and bring my other one back. So what I found is that with the 6 inches, I actually could have centered it a little better. Maybe you want to know how long your piece is going to be. So if you take your tape measure, you'll see this one's just 6. Maybe I could have centered that so I had an equal spacing. The amount of space I have available to me is 11 inches from top to bottom, but you really never want to go that close to the coils. I would say just kind of center it as best you can, but the end it doesn't actually really matter that much. It's not gonna, because this one, see, I could have moved it up a little bit, but it's totally fine. And from here, I was just giving myself ease of motion. It's easier for me to work here than back here. So getting that first row on is often my biggest challenge. So I might work it somewhere in the middle, just knowing I can move it to wherever I want it to be when I'm getting started. And let me see if I missed any questions. Looks like I might have missed another question up here. Yeah. Nope, it looks like I'm okay. If I did miss it, go ahead and just repost it because I think I could have swore I saw a question, but now I can't find it. All right, so when you pull this all the way through, what'll happen is your first row is good to go. And it's just on there really nicely. And to do your next row, you just bring that needle underneath the threads, string your next row. And bring that down. And this is that same step we did before where we just really want to make sure that everything's pressed up really tightly. You can even take your scooper or your finger or your thumbnail and just press those threads down. And it's easy to miss a thread on the pieces that are this wide. These are a lot more challenging than some of the smaller ones to put together. Even with 8/0, they're still super challenging. But also super rewarding. And so as you can see, everything's got a lot of motion. I could still slide things around. But that in a nutshell is how to do looming. And when you run out of thread, what you want to do is just leave your old working thread in place. And I'll show you on this one what that looks like. You leave your old thread where it is. Just let that stay and then start a new one exactly the way we started the first one. And just carry on like that until you've got the desired length. And The finding I'm going to show you today doesn't add a ton of length, so you can go to about half an inch, within half an inch of where you'd like it to be. Just knowing that you're going to have probably a couple of jump rings, and if you're going to use a toggle, maybe that'll add a little more. For me, I'm planning to use a lobster claw. So it will give you just a little bit of length there. Just a tiny bit. So this is another 6-inch piece. And so I'm able to get it to go right about there. I'll just get a nice lobster claw on there, and that's going to look so amazing. And I'm going to put my little charm on it, my little owl charm. And I'm going to be excited to wear that nice statement cuff. So how did I get from this to that? All right, so let me show you that part. And it is actually really cool, really, really cool. So normally when we take stuff off of our loom, you'll hear me tell you not to cut your warps. And in this case, you really don't have to cut them, but you can. You can if you want to. Let me clean this up really quick because I have a lot going on the mat. Yeah, so Debbie asked me a question about, can I use the magic knot? So the other day I showed how you can take 2 ends of your thread and tapestry knot them together. But so if you're gonna, I wouldn't use it for looming because it's gonna catch as you're going through it. I'm saying that now thinking maybe it would work with a NATO seed bead for this method only. It's certainly not gonna work if you're gonna do the pulls, where you pull in your warps. If you're doing knots and you feel like you can get it to fit, maybe, but I would probably just add it this way and weave it in just to be sure. But yeah, I hear you. I wish I could, I wish I could do that trick for all my beading designs because it is a time saver for sure. So I've got a lot of thread going on here. These are all my weft threads, right? Here at the top. And then my warps here. And I forgot to mention earlier, see on this one, how it's like every other. And then I realized, oh my goodness, I need to make it wider. I was still able to get it to work, but I had a little harder time starting this one than I did the one I just showed you. Let me show you the difference in the width. So you can kind of, I don't know if that's showing up. You can kind of see how that started for me. It's a real difference there. You just might find it a little easier to get going if you space them out. But it's going to work either way. It just took me probably a couple of minutes to fumble with that and get that to stay where I wanted it to. All right, so the fun part. I'm going to get this off the loom. To start, I'm going to just, the places where we knotted on the knobs here, those you'll just have to cut. And if you cut them pretty close to the knobs, you can preserve enough of your thread. We're going to want to be able to do some pretty easy little, double knots, like shoelace knots. So if you can save as much of this as you can, cutting it as close to the button as you can is the way to do that. So on those sides, from here, if you really wanted to, you could just cut right here and take one side off. Creature of habit that I am, I'm going to just go ahead and remove them this way. And you can either use your fingers, or if you can get some chainless pliers going, it's another way to do it. Be careful when you do that you don't put too much pressure on your loom. It's flexible but not bendable, as Jules likes to say. All right. But yeah, so either way you want to get that off your loom. In this case, you have the freedom to do it however you would like. You will have to weave in the weft threads. So these ones, let's bring it down now. Recenter. So you'll need to weave in these, and you'll have a lot of them on a design this wide. So just those there. But these, all of these, we're just going to tie them. It's going to be awesome. So at the top here, a couple of things you can do. You can get some scissors and just go ahead and trim it. That's what I did. You can individually cut the loops. And Lorena's question, do I just add the class? So nope, the seed beads don't go in them. What I use them for is to hide my knot. So the knots are going to be hidden inside. And I have a feeling this is what it was designed for. Um, this is a allegory gallery design, and I have this feeling like macrame is a thing for this too. I haven't tried it yet, but I've got it in my head that macrame would be brilliant. Because keep in mind, you can hide your knot. And where's my sample? Let me show you. Okay. See each of these? All that's happening here is those threads are just going right into the finding. See? So now think macrame, think like even fringe like would work. Any base stitch that you would start with, like if you were going to start with a ladder stitch, you could just go straight to herringbone from this and treat it as a ladder bar. A ladder bar would be a very cool way to use this finding. But I don't know if it's showing, but can you see my little knots in there? Each of those is a knot that was burned afterward. And it's barely visible. So, yeah. And it's a super tight connection too. Look at that. You can kind of see them poking out there a little bit. So really, really beautiful way to end your pieces. This next step I'm going to show you, it doesn't take forever. It just takes a minute. And so let me show you how I did it. I'm going to use some sewing scissors. So fireline is really hard to cut. And I want to just use one other disclaimer here that the sewing scissors you do this with will no longer be your fabric scissors. Yeah. So if you have a spare pair of sewing scissors that you don't mind, but they really cut fireline nicely, and I needed something that would cut my fireline. And even this doesn't do as great a job as I'd hoped, but fireline is one of those things that's hard to cut. Wildfire is a little easier, but fireline especially. So just, get those ends. And what you'll notice is it's not one for warps to holes. So what I did, I just lined them up, and I have a few that are doubled. But I have one thing I want to show you really quick. Now, it was important to me that my beads be the same width as my finding, but that wasn't a requirement. That was just a design choice. And so what I did was I brought one thread from each side. So let me show you the ones. This one and this one. So just ignore those for now. Each of these, I brought them over and through the next bead. So I just need to put a needle on really quick. Whichever needle you want to use is just fine. And so I'm going to jump over this bead right here and just go through the next one. And all that I'm doing there is I'm bringing my thread in to the width of the first hole in the finding. So this thread is going to join that thread right there. So these two, I'm going to treat those as one when I do my knots. Oh, Lynn says fishing scissors work great for her fireline. Oh, I should try that. I should really try that. That would be very cool. I'm constantly looking for scissors that can cut properly for these types of threads because they're very cool threads, but I'm not sure they're great for my flush cutters. So I'm doing the same thing as before, just bringing that through just like that. All right. Keep everything tight here. Let's bring on the finding. So I'm going to put this one through the first hole here. There we go. And then these next two, bring those through the next one. And what you can do is you can bring all the threads through first and make sure you're happy with the centering. And that is what I did on mine. As I brought everything through first, and then I took a look at it and tried to figure out, oh, hey, is the do I need to move one? And so that's kind of how I did that. And one other thought I was having is I did actually weave in my weft threads first. In the interest of time, I'm just jumping right to this part. But when I did my other sample, I actually did all my side weaving in first, and then I did this part. And I do think that's actually probably an easier way to do it, but not necessarily the quickest way to get to demoing this part. So let's see, I'm going to bring, which one should I go through? And it's actually just kind of up to you where you think they look the best. I'm going to share that one. There we go. Let's feed this one through the next one. All right. And this next one could go either or. I could go through the same or the next. Let's try the next. So you see what's happening here? All these threads are just going to go right through. Let's take a look. That one can share that one. And what's next here? There's that one. All right, how's it looking? So see what's happening here. I'm going to pull these through and I'm just going to glance at it and say, okay, I'm happy with this. This is good. And move it up a little bit. What's next? These two right here. Bring those through. And you know what? I'm thinking I want this one right here to go through the next hole. And this part, take your time with it because once you tie the knots, it's pretty permanent. I don't know how I would undo those knots at that point if I changed my mind, but I want that alignment to be so that my finding stays nice and centered, right? Oh, thanks, Susan. And thanks, Jennifer. Jennifer says she's loving this finding. Yeah, Jennifer, they have so many great ones. I'm gonna try the less wide one next. I was in love with the scroll work on this one. So I was motivated to make a very epic cuff design to really give it, to really just like do something that was worthy of it, you know? So it took me a while to come up with the right colorings and ideas for it. But I'm definitely loving the gold. Oh my goodness. Gold is really pretty. Okay, what do you think? This one, that one, and that one. So I'm going to split these two up. We'll go through there. My friend Juliana, she is the inventor of the jewel loom. She likes to use cords like hemp cords a lot, you know, for some of her designs. And so I think she will love these for that. Just another way you can end your loom pieces. Let me get back on the mat here. It's a little easier to see. I just have a few more to go. Okay, let's bring this one through here. All right. And last but not least, I've got these two edge ones, and they can go through the last hole here. There it is. So you can see where this is headed. Pretty nice, right? Such a time saver. If you're somebody who used to weave in your warps, you don't have to do that anymore. I think I'm constantly on a quest to like not have to weave in my warps because I'm lazy. That's the truth. But yeah, so this is like really cool how this comes out. So from here, all you need to do is tie these into knots. And the order in which I decided made the most sense for how to keep it from getting cinched up. I would recommend starting in the middle. And I experimented a couple of times with some other designs. And the one I found that came out the best was when I knotted the center first and then worked out from there. So that's what I think is the easiest way to make this work. So let's do that together, starting with my two center ones. And you can just like kind of like push the others out of the way for a minute and go ahead and do a little knot here. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And we'll just set those there. And we'll head over to this one. You do have to take a quick look and see which holes they're coming out of because you remember some of them shared. So in this case, I'm going to use these two together and these two. So I got 4 going here. And that's just because I brought those two through the same hole in each of those cases. And you'll be able to see that. I know it's not coming over as easy on the camera, but It'll be really apparent to you on your piece. And I've been doing a double knot and then an extra one. So there's those. I'm going to keep the center ones over here. And then let's head over here to do this side. Looks like in this case, I have just singles to work with. There's 1 and 2. And there's 3. And let's do the next one. Let me just double check that I haven't gone way over on time. I think I'm okay. I would say give me a shout, but I forget everybody's in the chat and I'm not looking at it right now. Let me take a quick glance up really quick. Yeah, and so Karen's saying, what if you have an odd count thread to knot? I actually did not base it on count here. In a couple of cases here, I've just got some doubled up ones. I just did it based on where, as I laid those threads out, just headed in this direction, which holes they should go through, because I have more thread than holes in this case. So I focused on what bead count is the width that I want. That came to be 18 in this case. When I was happy with that, then I just decided, okay, a couple of these need to double up in the holes so that I can have, and I decided it, which hole to go through just based on the closest one as it was just being laid out in that direction. And so you'll see how in all of these cases, I've got at least 1 or 2 to knot to the one that came up through the adjacent hole. But I could easily make up for that if I needed to by just doubling up. And so I've got this one. Another thing you can do, and I borrowed this idea from macrame, is so we've completed this whole side here. After you've completed knotting, so for example, these are the 2 edge holes knotted together, you can take these. So now we're essentially taking the 3 edge holes and doing another additional knot. You can do that as well. So now I've got 3 strands in each hand. And we wander back here, sorry. All of this is optional, but it's not going to show. Like you can just, until you feel like really secure about it. So let's head back over here because you can see I'm still loose on that side. Let me bring that down. Yeah, if you have 13, that's fine. Any count. I think any count that you think looks nice, because you can just hide all of that work in here. And I don't remember if I knotted these or not, so I'm doing another there. I think I did that already. Yeah, I'm to these edges now. And here we go. And you see I've still got weft thread hanging out here. So like I was saying earlier, I actually did the weaving in for the weft. Sorry for going off camera. Weft thread here. I did that weaving in before doing my knots on my previous design. It looks like it's still working out for me, even though I didn't do that yet. But I think when you're doing yours, go ahead and weave those in just so you don't get confused by it, because you wouldn't want to bring this up and knot it like that. That would be, but what you could do with it, if you wanted to, is you could put it on the needle and bring it up and over and through. Why not? Can't hurt anything. It's not what I did on my originals. I did weave it in originally, but I'm just kind of going off the cuff here. I think it kind of works, doesn't it? I'm going to try to separate it out. And I'm going to knot it with its friends here. And when you're doing your first side, I forgot to say this, I apologize. When you're knotting your first side, don't go crazy pulling it super tight. And the only reason I mention that is it's possible to pull these through, right? Because you know from our other methods where we're doing our pulls through, that you could actually be pulling this entire side up through the work and through here. So just warning for that in case anybody is really going to town with their knots. So I feel like this side is good. I wish it was a little tighter. Let me just kind of, well, that's pretty good. Still gonna bring it up one more time though. I don't know if there's a such thing as over knotting, but possibly I am doing that now. All right. What do you think? Do you guys like it? I think it's good. I'm happy with it. I feel like I can get my beads a little closer like there. And once I get the other side on, I just have to repeat everything I just did on the side. And again, I still need to get these guys woven in, at least these guys. This one I can maybe bring up. But yeah. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's it. Let me show you the burning step. So I have a burner, a thread burner. And so this is going to work really well with most threads. But if you're using something like hemp cord, maybe you want to put some glue in there. I haven't done a hemp cord design, but I'm thinking, my mind's going like 5,000 different places right now. I'm thinking like, oh, what if we did Chinese knotting cord? Can you imagine like a 0.5 millimeter knotting cord? That's all going to work. It'll all go through. And so let's say you've got those knotting cords through it. You can just tie some knots, maybe use a beading awl to keep the knot in there and burn those. 0.5 would hide in there. The depth on that is about 1/4 inch, I think. Take a quick look. Yeah. Yeah, about 1/4 inch. That's enough to hide a 0.5 millimeter Chinese knotting cord knot in there. You could do that. So this is totally a macrame finding. Looming was my first thought, but I think I got to go to macrame next because this is going to be very fun with that. It's going to be a neat idea. All right. And so, oh, Anna says she caught the end. Yeah, actually, in the beginning, we were just doing some easy like starter looming. So I think you've actually seen, we've been through a few of my lives where we've done that. So you didn't miss much. We just did a finding attachment. And if you missed the findings, you can find them here at Allegory Gallery. They're available from their website, allegorygallery.com. And then I do have some in my shop. So I bought a batch of the gold. I have these ones right here in my shop. But if you want to get them in silver or copper, or if I sell out, which I'm pretty sure I will, you can get the silver and the copper ones from their shop too. And they come in different sizes as well in a different design. So they have a little bit of medium shape. That one's a little less wide, see? And this one also comes in the larger as well, if you like that. That's a bold look. That's really cool. So lots of things you can do there. And then tons of options for cute little charms that you can dangle. I could just go crazy. I really could. There's just so much cool ideas. I get I get hit with ideas kind of at rapid fire. And so my brain has trouble making words while the ideas are hitting. I don't know if you guys have that happen to you, but it happened to me a lot lately. Just too many ideas. I can't even write them down. They're so fast. But let me show you how I took care of these strands now. So again, it's kind of hard to cut these. I kind of just went back to my flush cutters because I wimped out. But here I am using my flush cutters. And here's my thread burner. And it's going to be hard for you guys to see, but I have a pretty good viz on my little ends in there. So I'm just taking the thread burner and just singeing those ends just a tiny bit. And for two reasons. One, just to make sure, absolutely sure they don't show. And then also because it secures your knots even more. Makes those knots even stronger. And there's that one. Okay. I notice it does better cutting it if I just do like a less at a time, but there we go. I didn't do as good a job cutting those, but that's okay. Thread burner will save me. Nice. That. And I apologize for going over, guys, but let me see how I'm doing. I'm at 1. So um, I'm going to do the giveaway really quick. If you guys have not already entered the giveaway, that you just need to share the hashtag is bead mix. Let me just take a quick look, make sure I get that right. It is a hashtag bead mix, and don't worry about case. I don't think it's case sensitive. Just type in hashtag bead mix, and I'm going to give away a bead mix today. And let me get these next ones. So I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm hoping it's visible for you. But you can see I'm taking those little ends down. So they're just totally hidden in there. You cannot see them. And when you're wearing it, absolutely can't see them. And I'm doing this kind of individually for 2 reasons. One is I can't cut the fire line in greater than 2 without great effort. Let's see here. There you go. I'll try to do 4 now. See how I do. Oh, wow. That worked. All right. Yay. All right. So that's how to go from that wah, 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 to that. Woo! So pretty. It's so amazing. And I see one little thread that's driving me nuts. Let me get it. There we go. All right. So super cool. All right. I'm going to go I see a funny comment. I got to post this one. Hang on. Yep. Ferrari brain buzz. Yeah, for sure. It's totally true. Oh, so that just pretty much describes me in a nutshell, actually. So let's do our giveaway. Let's do that. Let me try to share our screen over here and get that going. I'll do this one. All right. Oh, and thank you, Vonda. Yeah, I love the beads for this one. That was really fun. And so again, I'm giving away a 32-gram jar of these beads right now. So here it goes. Bobby, Bobby, if you're here, give me a shout in either, like a lot of folks have been sending me a message through Etsy. That's a great way. And that way, if you've, if I already have your address in there, it like matches it for me, which is great. Or you can get me on Instagram, also on Facebook. Facebook, I need to make a point of checking my messenger because I have 2 pages on Facebook. And so if I'm not logged into one, it doesn't show me messages for the other one to like check. So I'm slowest on Facebook, but it's still good if that's what works for you. All right. And so congrats. And then last week I heard from one of our winners, but not the others. So I didn't hear from one of our winners last week with getting address. So if that was you, let me know. I heard from Judy. Liz, I'm looking for Liz. If you're here tonight, you won last week, but I didn't get your Addy yet. And Judy's, yours is going out from our Saturday giveaway. So I wanted to give you guys a quick heads up. If you got to go, no problem. But if you want to stick around, I wanted to tell. Oh yeah, and so just to get, the best way. Honestly, the best way is to just go to my Etsy shop and hit message. And that's the best way to find me. But I'm also on Instagram at Danielle Wicks Jewelry. It's a great way to do it. Or also my website. You can go to daniellewicksjewelry.com and hit the contact form there. And that's another great way to find me. But I'll be looking out for you too. Yeah, Jennifer says, sticking around. I have stuff coming up. This week is cool, guys. This week is really cool. So I was a little slack on my calendar, and I apologize. My calendar's updated now. The very next thing I have coming up this week is I'm going to go on with Kate Richberg on Friday. Isn't that cool? A really cool design. You can get a little sneak peek of it. If you check out my calendar, I put the picture. But on November 1st is the day we're doing that live. It's during her usual Free Tip Friday time. Her live is at 10:30 Pacific. And so I put a link to their Facebook for now until the thumbnail's up. But you can find it there too if you're already following them. A lot of you guys are, I know. So that's Friday on at 10:30 Pacific. Saturday, I have Seed Bead Saturday. That's at 2 p.m. Pacific. And this week, I have Becky Foster coming on. So she's going to do a project with me on Saturday. The very next day, Sunday, I'm going to be on Crimped with Turquoise Street. So if you guys are not already following Turquoise Street, that's at Turquoise Street on YouTube, or Deb Loves Jewelry is another way to find it, and Brittany Chavers. So they have a cool talk show for beaders, and so they're going to have me on as their person they're interviewing. So I'm super excited. This is going to be really fun. And then, of course, I'll be back that Monday, the following Monday at 4 o'clock this time next week to do another project with you guys. And I think I have something in mind. So, yeah. Until then, I will wish you happy beading. And I also, forgot to mention, I did restock Celebration. I went ahead and went with the larger tubes. Let me show you really quick. I got the whole collection now in the 7.2 grams. And I did that because I was having trouble getting the jars. I'm still working on that. I will try to get more of the little jars, but they weren't going to arrive in time, and I didn't want to delay. I had already delayed this a week more than I thought. So for now, I've got them for you in the 7.2 gram tubes in this palette collection. So this is the same mix we've been working with. Carol and I released it a couple of, like 3 weeks ago now. So now it's back and it's been restocked. I also restocked the 8.0 binding that we were using to top the earring. I finally restocked that. Sorry for the delay on that too, but better late than never, right? So, awesome. So I want to wish you guys a great rest of your week. And if you need anything, reach out, Instagram, website, Etsy, you know where to find me. And until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.